Welcome back to the Deep Dive, where we take your source material and distill the key insights you need to be well-informed fast.
And today, we're wading into a topic that, let's be honest, can sometimes feel a bit fluffy.
Yeah, manifesting success, attracting things into your life. And I think many of us, we hear something like the law of attraction, and we immediately get a bit skeptical.
Oh, absolutely. That heavy dose of side eye is almost a default reaction.
For sure. We've all seen the classic playbook, right?
Yeah.
Just think positive thoughts, visualize the red car, and boom, the universe will hand you the keys.
And for the author we're looking at today, Pierre Franckh, and for many, many other people, that approach just,
Yeah.
well, it leads to failure.
Right. It feels like you're doing all these mental gymnastics and getting absolutely no tangible results.
And worse, when it doesn't work, the advice is always, oh, you just didn't try hard enough, or your message to the cosmos wasn't clear. It's a perfect recipe for self-blame.
So our mission for this deep dive is to look at Franck's concept, the law of resonance, which takes this whole conversation and anchors it in something much more rational, more actionable.
It's a huge shift.
It is. We're exploring the move away from focusing on what you want, focusing instead on who you are.
And to really set the stage here, we have to start where the author does, which is with the scientific framing of it.
Okay.
The law of resonance, he argues, is rooted in physics. The basic principle is that everything, and I mean everything, thoughts, emotions, experiences,
It's all on a frequency.
have vibration.
Exactly. He's leaning on concepts from physicists like Einstein, this idea that the universe is just a massive web of frequencies and, well, like attracts like.
That's so interesting because it immediately pulls the conversation away from just, wishful thinking.
It does. It puts it into a conceptual framework where if you accept the premise of energy and vibration, the results should, in theory, be predictable.
And it helps explain that huge question, right?
Right.
Why do two people in the exact same job, same country, same economy achieve wildly different results? Precisely. If it was all about external circumstances, the outcomes should all be kind of clumped together. But they're not.
So the variable isn't external.
The variable is the internal broadcast, the frequency you're sending out.
Okay, so let's zoom in on that. The identity frequency. If the universe is reading me, what is it actually reading?
This is the absolute core of it.
Mhm.
The principle is that your frequency, which is, a mix of your dominant thoughts, your emotions, your past experiences, that's what attracts things vibrating at that same level.
And this is the fundamental break from the old way. The law of attraction asks, what do I want?
More money, a better job, whatever.
Right. But the law of resonance is totally concerned with the state you carry, your identity.
And here's the line that just reorients everything. The universe gives you what you are, not what you want.
That is a powerful distinction because it suggests that our wants are often just a smokescreen for what we really believe about ourselves.
They are. The author makes it very clear. The universe isn't reading your business plan or your dream board.
For your CV.
Not at all.
Yeah.
It's reading the emotional frequency that's being radiated by your identity.
Yeah.
And if those two things are in conflict, your goal and your identity, the universe always responds to the louder signal,
The identity.
the deeper, more stable emotional frequency.
So can you give us a concrete example of that internal conflict where our frequency is basically sabotaging our desire?
Well, it happens constantly. You might mentally say, I want to launch this huge innovative project. That's the desire.
Okay.
But the deep habitual emotional frequency you carry might be, am I really good enough? Or what if I fail and everyone sees?
So the goal is expansion, but the core broadcast is just anxiety, fear.
Exactly. Or, you might want a stable, loving relationship, but your internal identity, maybe based on past hurts, is broadcasting, I always have to be on guard, or I'm not worthy of that kind of ease.
And so life just reflects the vigilance and the turmoil back at you.
It reflects the deep emotional operating system, not the superficial thought.
This really reframes that thing we've all seen, the person who isn't necessarily the smartest or the hardest working, but things just fall into their lap. Opportunities find them.
We call it luck.
Yeah, we call it luck.
Resonance would call it alignment. Those people, whether they know it or not, have adopted the identity of success before the world has given them the proof.
They weren't waiting for the job title to start thinking like the person who deserved that title.
Exactly. And that's really what it comes down to, is how you handle things in the now. Take failure or negative feedback.
Okay.
The person operating from an inadequate striver frequency, they see that feedback as a personal attack. It confirms their deepest fear. So they get defensive, they withdraw,
Which just reinforces that low-frequency identity.
Correct. But the person who's already operating at a capable leader frequency, even if they're just an entry-level employee,
How they
they see the same feedback as just data, an opportunity to learn. They ask, okay, how do I integrate this to get a better result next time? Their identity is resilient, not fragile.
And so life brings them opportunities that demand that kind of resilience.
It resonates with the identity they're broadcasting. The fragile identity gets circumstances that confirm its fragility. The resilient one gets circumstances that confirm its strength.
So that's really the big takeaway from this first part. Life is answering who you are right now, which forces you to ask that hard question. What state, what identity am I actually carrying?
Yes.
So if that's the diagnosis, that we're broadcasting an identity that's in conflict with our goals, what's the prescription? How do we actually shift that internal state?
This is where we get into the really practical part of it, what the author calls the flow. And it starts with pillar 1, starting with contribution.
Okay.
The entire flow begins with giving, not taking. The first question you have to ask is not, what can I get from the world, but what can I offer the world?
That feels so counterintuitive, though, especially if you feel like you're lacking. You know, if you're chasing clients, trying to make rent, the instinct is to hoard, not to share.
And that tension is exactly why it's so powerful. Because the author insists giving isn't just about money or resources.
It's more than that.
Much more. It's your knowledge, your time, your energy, your perspective, even just your focused attention. The mental shift is from, I need to get something to feel whole to.
I already have something of value to share.
Exactly. I already possess abundance, and I can share it for the benefit of others. That's a frequency of sufficiency.
And what does that look like on a small scale?
It can be so simple. It could be taking the extra 5 minutes to write a clearer, more helpful email to a colleague.
Right.
Or really trying to understand a customer's core problem instead of just selling them something. Or, creating content that genuinely serves a purpose, not just to chase likes.
So you're changing the intent behind the action.
Yes. And when you do that, the author argues that success, money, better relationships, they become the natural consequence of that state. They flow to you rather than you having to forcefully chase them down.
Because you're no longer broadcasting lack.
You are no longer broadcasting the frequency of need.
That makes so much sense. And it leads perfectly into pillar 2, which is about how we actually build that new identity day to day.
Right. How do we embody it? This is pillar 2. Embodying the identity through micro decisions.
So this isn't about some one-time grand gesture.
Not at all. Resonance isn't built in a weekend seminar. It's built in the hundreds of tiny, almost unconscious choices you make every single day.
We need some examples here. What are those moments we should be catching ourselves in?
Okay, think about this. An email lands in your inbox that requires some real mental heavy lifting. Do you put it off because it feels intimidating? Or do you tackle it first because I am a person who handles complexity?
I see.
Or you're in a meeting. You have a valuable idea, but it might be a little unpopular. Do you share it? Or do you stay silent because you're afraid it might sound silly?
The choice you make is defining who you are in that moment.
Precisely. Are you making the decision of the person you want to become? Or the person who's still stuck in the past? If you're always holding back, always deferring, always avoiding discomfort.
The cumulative message is, I'm someone who waits, or I'm someone who doesn't take risks.
And resonance reflects that stagnation right back at you.
The source material had this really great personal story about health that makes this so tangible.
Oh, the weight loss example is a perfect illustration.
Yeah.
The speaker was stuck in that old loop, right? Constantly focused on the result, the number on the scale, forcing exercise like it was a punishment.
Which is just a frequency of resistance and conflict.
Absolutely. The whole dynamic was a fight. The shift came when they stopped focusing on losing weight and started focusing on being a healthy person.
They adopted the identity.
They adopted the identity. The new inner dialogue became, I am someone who goes to Pilates twice a week, not I have to force myself to exercise, or I am someone who enjoys preparing healthy food.
So the actions became a natural extension of their self-concept.
Yes. And the weight loss, the desired outcome, just became a side effect of the chosen identity. It wasn't the stressful, forced goal anymore.
They stopped fighting their reality and just started embodying a new one.
And that's the key.
So if you're making this huge shift in identity and action, that brings up the question of time. How long does it take? Which I guess is pillar 3.
It is. Pillar 3, patience and non-forcing. Or as the author calls it, learning to accept the void.
The void. That sounds difficult.
It's the hardest part. This shift isn't instant. Resonance works silently over time. If you make one new micro-decision today and expect a job offer tomorrow, you're still in that old demanding, I want it now frequency.
Right. The new state is about being able to stay committed to the identity, regardless of the immediate feedback.
Can you remain content in this new state of being? That's the real test. And that period, that gap between letting go of the old identity and the new reality showing up, that's the void.
And our instinct is to fill that void immediately.
Immediately. Rush into a new job, a new relationship, anything to avoid the discomfort of not knowing. The whole point of this phase is to resist that urge, to not force a solution.
So what's the question you should be asking yourself when you're in that void?
The liberating question is, what am I not forcing right now? Because as soon as you stop forcing, you allow the flow to start.
And then you can see what comes in.
Yes, then you can ask, what began to flow when I stopped demanding a specific outcome? That's where you see what you're really resonating with.
The author had a financial example of this, right? They were just forcing the money issue.
Completely. Caught in a scarcity mindset, obsessing over client numbers, calculating every offer, they hit a wall. Total exhaustion.
And what did they do?
They decided to just stop. Stop forcing wealth acquisition. And crucially, they went back to pillar one, contribution. They consciously shifted their energy to giving, volunteering for a project, sharing their knowledge freely.
So when the focus moved from taking to genuine giving,
Yeah.
what happened?
Unexpected work started to appear. New opportunities, new income streams started flowing in. But, and this is the most important caveat,
Yes.
Franck says it only works if the giving has become a true part of your identity. If it's just a tactic, a trick to get the universe to give you money.
The frequency is still scarcity.
Instantly. The moment it's tactical, it's drained by I want, not I am, and the flow just shuts down. The integrity of your contribution has to be real.
Okay, let's wrap up this deep dive. We've covered this really challenging shift from operating out of I want to operating out of I am.
That's the heart of it. Success, connection, wealth, they flow when your internal identity is aligned with your external goals.
And that identity, it's built not in one big leap, but through consistent contribution and those tiny daily micro decisions.
And for you, listening to this, if you're someone who does all the self-improvement stuff, the books, the training, but you still feel stuck,
Yeah.
the challenge from this material is pretty direct. You're probably waiting to feel ready, waiting for some external permission slip instead of just deciding to adopt the new identity first.
Letting the world catch up to you, not the other way around.
Exactly.
We spend so much energy playing small, don't we? Waiting for permission to be powerful.
And that brings us right to the final thought we want to leave you with. It's a quote from Nelson Mandela that the author uses, and it explains why this shift is so hard for us.
What are the lines we really need to sit with?
Our deepest fear is not that we are inadequate. Our deepest fear is that we are powerful beyond measure.
Wow.
He goes on, it is our light, not our darkness, that most frightens us.
It's the fear of actually stepping into that powerful, resonant identity.
And it serves the world no purpose to shrink yourself so that other people won't feel insecure around you. Franck's conclusion on this is so important.
What's the final takeaway?
By allowing your own life, your own light, your own new identity to shine, you unconsciously give other people permission to do the same. When you free yourself from your own fears, your presence alone, without any effort, helps free others.
That is the ultimate resonant frequency, stepping into your power so that others can step into theirs. Thank you for guiding us through this, the challenging idea, but a profoundly practical one.
My pleasure. Hopefully it helps you start to change your frequency starting today. Until next time.